Hey Capricorn, I just pulled cards for you about creating meaningful life goals. And honestly, what came through is really interesting. I was not expecting this particular combination, but the universe clearly has some specific guidance for you right now about how you approach your aspirations and what you really want to achieve in this lifetime. So let me share what came up. I pulled 6 cards total, and each one has something really important to say about your path forward when it comes to setting and achieving goals that actually matter to your soul. This is not about surface-level achievement or checking boxes to impress other people. The cards are talking about something way deeper than that. Alright, so the first card that came out is the Page of Swords. And I have to say this energy is really significant for where you are right now. The Page of Swords is all about mental curiosity and being willing to ask the hard questions. You know how sometimes we set goals based on what we think we should want or what looks good on paper? This card is saying that phase needs to be over for you. The universe wants you to get really honest with yourself about what you actually care about, not what your family thinks you should care about or what society says equals success. This page energy is also about being a student of life. I think one of your most meaningful goals moving forward needs to involve continuous learning and staying intellectually engaged. You are someone who needs mental stimulation to feel alive and fulfilled. Goals that let you stagnate mentally are going to feel like death to you, even if they bring external success. The Page of Swords is encouraging you to set goals around developing new skills, exploring subjects that genuinely fascinate you, and staying curious about the world. But here is what is really interesting about this card in your reading. The Page of Swords can also indicate that you have been somewhat scattered in your approach to goal setting. Maybe you have started a lot of things but not followed through. Or you have been collecting information and ideas but not actually implementing anything. The sword energy needs direction and focus. So part of your meaningful life goal work is about taking all that curiosity and mental energy and channeling it into something concrete. You need to move from the exploration phase into the commitment phase with at least one major area of your life. The page also suggests that communication might be a key part of your meaningful goals. Maybe you are meant to teach, write, speak, or share knowledge in some way. There is something about your voice and your perspective that needs to be heard. Do not underestimate the power of sharing what you know. One of your life goals could literally be about developing your communication skills and finding platforms to express your ideas. This does not have to mean becoming famous or anything like that. It just means recognizing that you have something valuable to contribute through your words and thoughts. I also want to mention that this card can indicate the need for brutal honesty with yourself. The sword cuts through illusion and BS. So as you think about what goals are truly meaningful to you, you need to be willing to cut away the lies you have been telling yourself. What have you been pretending to want? What goals have you been pursuing out of obligation or fear rather than genuine desire? The Page of Swords is giving you permission to be ruthlessly honest about what lights you up and what drains you. Another layer here is about being strategic and using your intellect to plan your path. You are not someone who can just go with the flow and hope everything works out. You need to think things through, gather information, and make informed decisions about your direction. Your meaningful goals should involve using your analytical abilities. Trust your mind. Trust your ability to figure things out, but also be willing to revise your plans as you learn new information. The page is flexible and adaptive, not rigid. The second card that came through is 6 of Pentacles. And wow, this is beautiful, because it is shifting the focus from just personal achievement to contribution and generosity. The 6 of Pentacles is all about giving and receiving, about balance and fairness, about using your resources to help others. This tells me that your most meaningful life goals cannot be purely selfish. You need to include service and contribution as part of your life mission. Now let me be clear, this is not about martyring yourself or giving until you are empty. The 6 of Pentacles shows someone who has enough for themselves and is then able to share from that overflow. So part of your goal setting needs to be about creating enough stability and abundance in your own life that you can then turn around and lift others up. This is a card of conscious generosity, not codependent caretaking. I think you are someone who will only feel truly fulfilled if your success benefits more than just yourself. Maybe you are meant to mentor others in your field. Maybe you are meant to create businesses or projects that provide opportunities for people who need them. Maybe you are meant to use your skills and talents in service of causes you care about. Whatever form it takes, there needs to be a generosity component to your meaningful goals. The Six of Pentacles also speaks to creating fair and balanced systems. Maybe one of your life goals involves fighting for justice or equity in some area. This could be in your workplace, your community, or on a larger scale. You have the potential to be someone who balances the scales, who sees where resources are not flowing fairly and works to correct that. This is powerful work, and it could be a central part of your life purpose. Another thing this card is highlighting is the importance of receiving as well as giving. A lot of ambitious people, especially Capricorns, struggle to accept help or support. You want to do everything yourself and prove you do not need anyone. But the Six of Pentacles says that meaningful goals often require collaboration and support. You need to be willing to receive mentorship, guidance, resources, and help from others. This actually allows you to achieve more than you ever could alone. There is also wisdom here about timing and seasons. The Six of Pentacles knows that sometimes you are in a receiving phase and sometimes you are in a giving phase. Both are necessary. So as you set your life goals, build in flexibility for these natural cycles. There will be times when you need to focus on filling your own cup and building your foundation. There will be other times when you are in a position to pour into others. Both are sacred and necessary parts of a meaningful life. I am also seeing that this card wants you to think about your relationship with money and material resources as part of your goal setting. What is your actual goal around finances? Is it just to accumulate as much as possible? Or is it to have enough to live well and then use the rest to make a positive impact? The Six of Pentacles suggests that hoarding resources will ultimately feel empty to you. You need circulation. You need to be part of a flow of giving and receiving. Your financial goals should reflect this understanding. The third card is Three of Wands, and this is getting exciting because now we are talking about vision and expansion. The Three of Wands is someone standing on a cliff looking out at the horizon, at all the possibilities ahead. This is about thinking bigger than you have been thinking. Your meaningful life goals need to have an element of adventure and exploration. You are not meant to play it safe and stay small. This card often appears when someone is ready to expand beyond their current circumstances. Maybe you have been focused on local or immediate concerns, and now it is time to think more globally or long-term. What do you want to create that has a broader reach? What do you want to experience that requires you to venture outside your comfort zone? The Three of Wands is encouraging you to set goals that genuinely excite you, that make you a little nervous in a good way. There is strong entrepreneurial energy with this card. If you have been thinking about starting something of your own, whether that is a business, a creative project, or any kind of independent venture, this card is a green light. Your meaningful goals might involve creating something from the ground up, being your own boss, and having the freedom to do things your way. You have the vision and the planning skills to make this happen. The Three of Wands also talks about patience and faith. You plant seeds, and then you have to wait for them to grow. So some of your life goals are going to be long-term plays that require sustained effort over years. This actually suits Capricorn energy well because you understand delayed gratification. But make sure you are enjoying the journey, not just fixating on the destination. The person in this card looks content and hopeful as they wait and watch. That should be you. Another key message from the Three of Wands is about collaboration and partnerships that help you expand. You might need to team up with people who have skills or resources you lack. Your meaningful goals might involve building a network of allies and collaborators who share your vision. Do not try to do everything alone. The ships in this card represent ventures that involve multiple people working together toward a common aim. I am also picking up that travel or cross-cultural exchange might be part of your meaningful life goals. The Three of Wands often indicates looking beyond your immediate environment and connecting with people from different backgrounds and places. This could be literal travel, or it could be about engaging with diverse perspectives and ideas. Either way, there is a broadening of horizons that needs to happen for you. This card is also encouraging you to be forward-thinking and strategic in your goal setting. Look ahead. Where do you want to be in 10 years? 20 years? What legacy do you want to leave? These bigger questions should inform the goals you set now. Every action you take today is either moving you toward that long-term vision or away from it. The Three of Wands asks you to keep your eyes on that horizon while you handle the practical steps in front of you. The fourth card that came through is Nine of Swords, and okay, this one is bringing up some shadow material that we need to address. The Nine of Swords is the card of anxiety, worry, and mental torment. It shows someone sitting up in bed in the middle of the night, plagued by fears and worst-case scenarios. So what does this have to do with meaningful life goals? Everything, actually. This card is revealing that part of what makes goal setting difficult for you is fear. You might be holding yourself back from pursuing truly meaningful goals because you are afraid of failure, afraid of judgment, afraid of disappointment. The Nine of Swords wants you to look at all those fears directly and understand that they are mostly mental constructs, not actual realities. Most of what we worry about never happens. But here is what I find really important about this card showing up. It suggests that one of your meaningful life goals needs to be about mental health and emotional well-being. You cannot achieve anything truly satisfying if you are constantly anxious and stressed. So part of your life work is learning to manage your mind, to develop practices that keep you grounded and peaceful, to address the thought patterns that create suffering. The Nine of Swords can also indicate that you have been losing sleep over trying to figure out the perfect path or the right goals. There is analysis paralysis happening. You have been overthinking everything to the point where you are frozen. This card is actually encouraging you to take action even if you are not completely certain. Sometimes you have to move forward before you have all the answers. The clarity comes through doing, not through endless mental spinning. I am also seeing that this card might represent guilt or regret about goals you did not pursue or paths you did not take. Maybe you are haunted by thoughts of what could have been. The Nine of Swords wants you to release that. You cannot change the past, but you can make different choices moving forward. Your meaningful life goals should be focused on the future, not on trying to compensate for what you perceive as past failures. There is also a message here about perfectionism. The Nine of Swords energy often comes from setting impossibly high standards and then beating yourself up when you inevitably fall short. As you define your meaningful life goals, you need to build in compassion for yourself. You need to accept that you will make mistakes and have setbacks. That is part of being human. Your worth is not determined by your achievements. Another aspect of this card is about isolation and not reaching out for support when you need it. Capricorn can be very stoic and self-reliant, but sometimes that turns into suffering in silence. One of your goals should be building a support system and being willing to be vulnerable about your struggles. You do not have to handle everything alone. Asking for help is not weakness, it is wisdom. The Nine of Swords is ultimately about the mind as either your greatest tool or your worst enemy. Your meaningful life goals should include practices and commitments that keep your mental state healthy. This might mean therapy, meditation, creative expression, physical exercise, time in nature, whatever actually works for you. Do not neglect this inner work in favor of external achievement. They need to go hand in hand. The fifth card is Eight of Swords, and this is interesting because it is building on what the Nine of Swords started. The Eight of Swords shows someone bound and blindfolded, surrounded by swords stuck in the ground. They look trapped, but if you look closely, the bindings are loose and they could free themselves if they chose to. This is a card about perceived limitations versus actual limitations. So in terms of meaningful life goals, the Eight of Swords is asking you to identify what limitations you have accepted as facts that are actually just beliefs or fears. What have you decided you cannot do or cannot have? Why have you decided that? Is it really true, or have you just convinced yourself it is true? This card is challenging you to question every restriction you have placed on yourself and your potential. A lot of times we create our own prisons through the stories we tell ourselves. I am too old. I am not talented enough. I do not have the right connections. I missed my chance. The Eight of Swords says these are lies. You are more powerful and more capable than you realize, but you have to remove the blindfold and see that. One of your most meaningful life goals needs to be liberating yourself from these mental and emotional constraints. This card also speaks to the ways external systems and other people might have convinced you that you are limited. Maybe you grew up with messages that shaped what you believed was possible for you. Maybe you are part of a marginalized group that faces real systemic barriers. The Eight of Swords acknowledges that these things are real, but it also says you have more agency than you think. Your goals should include finding the gaps in those barriers and working strategically to create the life you want despite the obstacles. I'm also seeing that this card is about breaking free from situations where you have felt stuck. Maybe you have been in a job, relationship, location, or lifestyle that felt suffocating. Part of your meaningful life goals involves claiming your freedom in whatever areas you have been trapped. This takes courage because the familiar trap can feel safer than the unknown freedom. But you deserve to live expansively, not in confinement. The Eight of Swords can also represent information you have been avoiding or truths you have not wanted to see. The blindfold is willful ignorance. So as you work on your life goals, you need to remove that blindfold and look at reality clearly. What have you been refusing to acknowledge? What hard truths do you need to accept in order to move forward effectively? Sometimes freedom requires facing difficult facts. Another message from this card is about victim mentality versus empowerment. It is easy to stay stuck if you focus on all the reasons you cannot succeed. It is much harder but more rewarding to focus on what you can control and take responsibility for creating change. Your meaningful life goals should reflect an empowered mindset where you see yourself as the author of your own story, not a helpless character in someone else's narrative. The Eight of Swords is ultimately a hopeful card because it shows that the way forward exists. You just have to be willing to free yourself. So part of your life work is developing the courage and clarity to break free from everything that binds you. This is ongoing work, not a one-time event. You will encounter new prisons throughout your life, and you will need to keep choosing freedom over and over again. The final card is Wheel of Fortune, and this is powerful to end on because it is the card of cycles, destiny, and divine timing. The Wheel of Fortune reminds us that life moves in phases and that everything changes. You have up periods and down periods, times of expansion and times of contraction. Understanding this is crucial for setting meaningful life goals because it keeps you from despairing during the hard times and getting overconfident during the good times. One of your meaningful life goals should be developing the wisdom to work with life's natural rhythms rather than fighting against them. This means knowing when to push forward and when to rest. Knowing when to take risks and when to consolidate. Knowing when to start new things and when to complete what you have already started. The Wheel of Fortune teaches you to be strategic about timing. This card is also about destiny and the bigger picture of your life. There are some things that are meant to happen for you, opportunities that have your name on them. Your meaningful goals should include staying open to these destined experiences and saying yes when they appear. But you also have to do your part. The Wheel of Fortune is not about passive waiting. It is about being prepared so that when your moment comes, you can seize it. The wheel also represents karmic patterns and learning the lessons that keep showing up. Pay attention to what themes repeat in your life. Those repetitions are clues about what you are here to master. Your meaningful life goals should address these recurring lessons directly. If you keep struggling with the same issues around relationships, money, career, whatever, that is your curriculum. Those are the areas where your soul most needs to grow. I am also seeing that the Wheel of Fortune wants you to embrace the ups and downs rather than trying to create a life of constant stability. Some of your most meaningful goals might involve adventures and experiences that are inherently unpredictable. You are being asked to develop faith and resilience. Trust that when things fall apart, something better is being born. Trust that losses create space for new gains. This card also has a spiritual dimension about surrendering to a higher power or universal intelligence. Part of meaningful goal setting is acknowledging that you are not in control of everything. You can set intentions and work hard, but you also have to release attachment to specific outcomes. The universe might have something better in mind than what you can imagine. Your goals should leave room for divine intervention and pleasant surprises. The Wheel of Fortune is reminding you that you are part of something much bigger than yourself. Your individual goals exist within a larger context of collective evolution and cosmic purpose. This does not make your personal aspirations less important, but it puts them in perspective. Ask yourself how your goals serve not just you, but the larger whole. How does your success contribute to the elevation of others? Finally, this card is about luck and being in the right place at the right time. But luck favors the prepared. So your meaningful life goals should include positioning yourself where opportunities are likely to appear. This might mean moving to a different city, joining certain communities, developing specific skills, or changing how you present yourself to the world. You create your own luck through strategic choices and consistent effort over time. So let me bring all of this together for you, Capricorn. The cards are showing that your meaningful life goals need to include intellectual growth and honest self-inquiry, generous contribution and balanced giving and receiving, expansive vision and strategic planning, mental health and freedom from self-imposed limitations, understanding of life cycles and alignment with destiny. These are not small surface things. These are deep foundational commitments that will shape the entire arc of your life. I hope this reading gave you some clarity and inspiration about what truly matters and what is worth pursuing. The universe is supporting you in creating a life of real meaning and impact, not just going through the motions or chasing empty achievements. Trust yourself. Trust the process. And trust that you have everything you need to fulfill your highest potential.